Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time from Mr. Majestic. For those interested, requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, commentaries, re-reviews, lists, rankings, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for The Town That Dreaded Sundown from 1976. Which is loosely based on the real murders that happened in Texarkana in 1946, where a killer, was it 5 or 6 people were killed, he disappeared, and kind of like Zodiac, you don't know what happened to the person. Did they disappear for good? Did they get arrested for another charge? Did they die out? No one knows. It's a big mystery. Although the poster said that he's still lurking in the streets. I know the town was really pissed off about that because it kind of made people go, well, screw it, I'm not going to visit this town. And it's like, can you cut that out of the poster? Because you make it seem as if this town, if you come to this town, you're going to die. And then they got pissed at the director. And he tried to take it off, but the studio and the others like, nope, too late. But the director I'm talking about was Charles B. Pierce, who directed The Legend of Boggy Creek. Now, in the movie itself, it was okay. The killer, the Phantom, it has a white hood. Guarantee you this was an inspiration for Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th Part 2. And when the killer, and with the hood, and has this heavy breathing, when he appears, it's kind of eerie, kind of creepy. I thought the actor did a nice job, and the director was competent in portraying this being a crazed individual. The huffing, the puffing. Kind of remind me as if it was Kane Hodder who played him. Like when Kane Hodder played Jason, he had that just intensity to it, and this guy would just like pull people out of windows and would shoot people if he needed to. And this one particular kill, which when I say loosely based, there's stuff that they finagle that didn't really happen. Like there's a bit where a student had a trombone and the killer puts like a knife on it and he's like trying to blow into it, and he's like doing this, which might come off as silly, but I don't know, the way the guy, because with the white hood, you see how wide his eyes are, he just looked crazed. Seems like a very creepy pervert. But from what I understand, there was no trombone with a knife on it. I think maybe the person had a saxophone or something, and that saxophone went missing. And like the Phantom in the movie, the Texas Ranger gives him the name, but from what I understand, it was really the newspaper that gave the name the Phantom. But the movie stars Ben Johnson and Andrew Prine. Ben Johnson, who I remember from Terror Train with Jamie Lee Curtis, he's been in quite a few others. He was in a bit role in Red Dawn with Patrick Swayze. He's based on a real-life Texas Ranger. I think he was named Lone Wolf. Not Lone Wolf McQuaid. And then they have Andrew Prine, who I remember from this film Grizzly, which actually was around the same year. I think around the same year. But yeah, I think his character was made up for the film. I could be wrong, though. And the movie has, at times, trying to have a matter-of-fact telling of the story. At times you hear narration about what was happening during this time of the 1940s and how the townsfolk were thinking, and this voiceover. The film's not a documentary. It's not even trying to be a fake documentary like Legend of Boggy Creek, the director's previous film, but it's still trying to have a bit of that feel to it with the voiceover and telling people what's going on. And at times the kills are about maybe 21 days in between And so this goes on for a matter of months. But it seems like the cops don't get that much closer to it. Other people in the film, Dawn Wells, Marianne from Gilligan's Island, she's in the film as one of the last possible victims, although she survives after being shot in the face twice. Like, damn, she really, she the grandma of 50 Cent. White chocolate. You get shot twice in the face and you walk it off, run into the cornfield, get chased, but you're able to escape. And the movie kind of goes on that way where it's at first it's Andrew Prine in the police department. At one point, these two kids are out in a car parked. The killer comes in, rips the guy out the window. But those two survive, and they're in the hospital. But the woman, apparently she got a lot of bites. So I don't know if that happened in real life, if the person had a bunch of bites over their body. Just the thing, when you stretch one truth, you stretch another truth. Now it makes you wonder how many other truths were stretched in terms of the story. But in the movie, apparently her back and breasts and everything else was bitten, chewed on. But the woman's alive and her boyfriend's alive. But then 21 days later, there are two people dead, including a woman tied to a tree, and Andrew Prine finds them. And that's when they bring in Ben Johnson as Captain Morales. It's kind of that matter-of-fact investigation, but because the killer was never caught, because you never know who the killer is, sadly there's not a whole lot of insight into the film. It's just, okay, I like Ben Johnson's performance. I like Andrew Prine. I think Ben and Andrew Prine worked well together. I thought when the Phantom does some of his killing people, some of those scenes could be a bit atmospheric and moody. I thought the killer, the actor playing the killer, portrayed him fairly well, and like I said, almost like a precursor to the way Kane Hodder would approach a role. Like, just very heavy breathing, pissed off quality to it. Very scary image of the White Hood. Honestly, I would say scarier than Jason Friday the 13th Part 2. Although, I like Friday the 13th Part 2 a lot more as a movie compared to this. Like, at the movie, it's okay. Because one of the aspects that is stupid about this movie is Charles B. Pierce tried to put stupid comedy into this. As if it was Smokey and the Bandit. That's like another film around this time, Last House on the Left. Although I'd probably say I would watch this over Last House on the Left because I'm just not... That involves... I don't even want to say the word. Rhymes with grape. That just... Plus I thought, other than the one killer... God, I forgot his name. He says, the road leads to nowhere. It's him. He's like the main killer. Was it David Hess? I forget his name. Other than him, I thought the acting, especially by the parents, were pretty wonky. I do think the acting by the two leads here are much better. As our Ben Johnson, Andrew Prine. And on the but at the same time, it has that humor. Like, Charles B. Pierce himself is an actor, and he plays this goofy, silly patrolman. And I don't know why. Maybe they thought, part of me is like, is he trying to make fun of the cops because they couldn't catch a mouse with cheese, they couldn't find their ass if it was attached to them? I don't know. But like the patrolman, there's a point where he's talking on the phone and threatening someone, and the guy warns him, don't do that, but then he does it again. He's threatening the dog. That's right, okay, I'm going to go over there, I'm going to take care of that dog there. There's another point where Ben Johnson arrives and him and Andrew Prine need to get to somewhere, and Charles B. Pierce is going to be their driver. So then you have this goofy scene, might as well be Andy Griffith with Don Knotts, where are the keys? Where are the keys? Oh my god, look into the keys. Patrolman, what do you think that is there? And the camera goes and there's the keys. And you're waiting for the laugh track. Oh, I was going to look there next. Like later on, there's a point where they're chasing a guy down who's a possible suspect, and Charles B. Pierce is driving our two main characters. Stop driving so fast! And the car jumps and it dives in as if, I don't know, an episode of The Dukes of Hazzard or something, and crashes the car. Why did it need this stupid comedy that doesn't work, is not funny, kind of wishy-washes the serious nature of the crime, of these deaths that actually did happen in real life? What's next? The movie Seven, while the cops is Chris Farley? So all you have is grisly crime scenes, then you have Chris Farley, I don't know, trying to do something, and oh, that's gonna leave a mark. Do you imagine that? Chris Farley in Seven? Like, there's Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt, but there's also Chris Farley, and he's the driver, and think of all these Tommy Boy Black Sheep put into Seven. Wouldn't really fit the tone and the consistency, would it? So I think that's a big detriment to the film. This stupid comedy that... Like, there's a point where they go undercover and the patrolman is wearing women's clothing for a decoy. And I'm like, okay, could someone explain, did this happen? Where they were in women's clothing as decoys? If it did, okay, but they play off much more comedic than probably it should have been. Or even like when the patrolman's finding the keys, they have this very silly music playing. But then a few scenes later, it's prom night, and you have this potentially creepy scene where this girl's boyfriend gets shot, and the girl gets tied to a tree, and the killer touches the knife to the trombone, keeps stabbing her again and again. Oh, and the patrolman Charles B. Pierce plays is named Sparkplug. Because there's even a point where Ben Johnson goes, Sparkplug, shut up. I'm like, yes, exactly, shut up. Now, super spoilers on the ending. At one point they get a suspect, but they know this isn't the guy. They're driving. Thankfully, Sparkplug's not with them. They get a call in, description of a car. Andrew Prine goes, wait, that sounds like the car. That seems like the car that I saw when I first found those bodies months ago. They find the Phantom, they chase it after him. The Phantom gets over the tracks, the train's in between them. And Ben Johnson is shooting. And this is actually a well photographed action piece of business with slow motion. Because you have Ben Johnson, Andrew Prine shooting, slow motion. And then at one point the Phantom gets hit. And a nice stunt where he flies up and lands on the ground. And he's been shot in the leg. I'm like, wow, that's actually... nice piece of business, action-wise, slow motion. Like I said, I know I repeat myself, but I'm like, wow, that's actually very nicely done. Why can't we have more of that for your artistic choices? I'd rather you do more of that than put yourself as some stupid comedy relief. We don't need your comic relief character. Unneeded. And of course, spoiler, because he gets away, even though he's been wounded, and no one knows what happened to him. I mean, even before that, the two are talked, is like, you think we'll ever catch him? Well, if we do, it'll be a miracle. And the Phantom disappeared. In the movie, it makes it seem as if the Phantom's alive and standing in line to see the new movie, The Town That Dreaded Sundown. So, in the movie, it's an unsatisfying ending, but if you're dealing with a real life story where the killer got away and you didn't know who it was, kind of makes you go, well, how can you have a satisfying ending? Like, how can you? How would you be able to do it? But other than the look of the Phantom, I just maybe, not all, but maybe some of the details of the deaths, it makes you wonder, like, what insight did we really get from the story? Again, if you compare with real life, like, there's a point where all the town bought all the guns and they all disappeared. And they go, oh, not really. It wasn't until months later that the town did that. And then it's like, well, wait. If you look into it, apparently there's a lot of discrepancies between the movie and the real life events. And then it made me go, well, why the fuck didn't you just make a movie? Like, it's based on an idea, but we're telling our own story. Like, it's based on a Phantom, but we don't tell our own different story, so we have whatever beginning we want, whatever ending we want, them catching the Phantom, shooting the Phantom. Well, if you don't want to call the Phantom whatever, the ghost, the asshole, the dickwad, whatever. So there's points of it that I like. It's short enough. It doesn't outstay its welcome, at least. The two lead actors, I thought, helped. That I thought Ben Johnson and Andrew Prine were worthwhile as the leads. But at the same time, it's not like you get a lot of insight to the characters, not a lot of development of the characters. Like, it's very matter of fact of this was going on in the town, this crime happens, them investigating the crime scene, what do we do next? But again, other than one dinner scene where they're talking of who this person, what his qualities may be, there's not a whole lot of other insight into the killer. Again, at one point there's a suspect who, like, robbed this guy, and then they find out, nah, this isn't the guy, even though he says he is. I like the guy who plays the killer. I think he does an effective job creating a sense of menace to him. The ending, I don't know how else he would end it if this is what the story is, but I think maybe more insight to Ben Johnson's Captain and maybe Andrew Prine, a bit more of them building up those characters, like in between investigating. A bit more character work on them, and a lot less of the stupid comedy. Like, all those comedy bits, what is this, a comedy bus? Throw that out, throw in the garbage, put in a bag, drop that sumbitch into the ocean, and make all those scenes instead Ben and Andrew Prine conversing and getting to know them a bit more, their backstory, how they got into it, maybe Ben Johnson talking about some previous cases, to know a little bit more about the characters. I think that at least would have been better served. That's just me. But, I mean, The Town That Dreaded Sundown, I didn't mind it. That was alright. I wouldn't say I loved it. So, take that for what you will. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.